2. What constitutes custody? That's critical to Miranda, right? Brendlin versus California. This case came down last term. Yes, sir. Now.
That last case you quoted, wouldn't that also play to the defense that if that case is applicable, then wouldn't the defense have the right to more than one attorney if he has more than one charge?
I like that. I want all the attorneys I can get. I want a fucking First and Fourth Amendment lawyer. I want a 10th. I don't know what the 10th Amendment is, but I want one of those fuckers as well. I want all the lawyers I can get. Bring the fucking army down. You know, let's hope so. Brendlin's a case that all of us had just assumed we knew this, but you know, it always troubled me. It's the passenger in the car. They stopped the car, the driver's obviously, in custody. What about the passenger? Well, fuck, he ain't going anywhere. The Supreme Court said that. Fuck, he ain't going anywhere. Passenger's effectively seized just like the driver is. Illinois versus Wardlaw. This is an old case from 2000, but this is a case dealing with those same kind of stops. This is a case where the Supreme Court said a citizen's flight in a high crime area constitutes reasonable grounds to stop somebody. What's a high crime area? It's your neighborhood. Sidewalks, people sitting on the stoops talking to each other. Low crime area? Suburbs, long lawns, no sidewalks, people in Gucci bags. Only people are out there with the dog, bicycle, doing fancy Lago, extreme C, They're out there, everybody doing that kind of shit, But high crime areas are where the poor, the disenfranchised, the people of color live. Now how come it's only flight in those neighborhoods? That constitutes reasonable suspicion. And if you think about it, they're in essence, it creates a lower threshold for Fourth Amendment protection to the poor, the disenfranchised, and minorities, because they live in the high crime areas. By the way, if I was going to go fucking steal something, I'd go to the low crime area. That's where all the good shit is. Come on. These high crime areas, you need liable to get shot. They beat you up, and they ain't got shit to sell anyway. So, the same week that Illinois versus Wardlaw comes down, a young man by the name of Diallo is gunned down the vestibule of his apartment when he reaches for his wallet rather than anything else. Maybe people in high crime areas have some reason to flee the police other than the fact that they're guilty of some fucking offense. By the way, it's not just poor and disenfranchised any longer in the Supreme Court. This is a case out of Texas. Miss Atwater is stopped. She's a soccer mom. She's traveling along, forgot or didn't pay much attention. Do you think there's got to be some prior history between Miss Atwater and Officer Turek? But anyway, he stops her for not having a seatbelt. And by the way, he stops her. He verbally berates her. Luckily, the kids are screaming. A neighbor comes along and gets the kids. He then frisks her, handcuffs her, places her in the squad car, takes her to jail, fingerprints her, takes a mug shot, and requires her to post a cash bail, even though the Supreme Court says, look, this was a fine-only offense. She couldn't have gone to jail. She was convicted of it. And by the way, it was a pointless indignity that served no discernible state interest. And more important, Justice O'Connor pointed out that Officer Turek handcuffed her behind her back, put her in his squad car, and drove her to the station house without fastening her seatbelt. U.S. versus Arvizu, a case for those of you living along the border. This is a border stop case, and this is where the Chief Justice, Rehnquist, said that friendly children constitute reasonable suspicion. Why? He said these kids in the back seat waved in an abnormal fashion. Abnormal fashion, okay? I don't know. And he said, and the reason that caught the INS officer's attention was that normally, by the way, the driver was stiff and wouldn't look at the officer, and that normally people wave at the officer in a very friendly fashion. So, if you're along the border, be sure, the Queen would get busted. Okay, be sure you wave in a friendly fashion and not some abnormal fashion.